Hello and welcome to this tutorial in this fourth part of our little series for Artist Guide for Sandbox. I just decided on the title right now, second ago actually, but I'm going to show you a little bit about paths configuration and customizing Sandbox. So if you go into your Sandbox install directory and you go into your data area, you will find a few things here. You have default map settings. In here are various settings for your maps. And you will have defaults. And there are some settings in here as well. These are more with keys and controls and stuff. And you have different kinds of binds. From edit bind, which is for the editor, to special bind, which is for other stuff. And there's all kinds of things in here that I don't even really understand right now. And you'll also find something hanging out in your My Stuff directory, which is where they kind of wanted you to put stuff by default before. Pardon me. So if I go here to init, this is my little options and stuff. And if I go here to config FPS, and here's some more things that I can change, including my name down here, and that's all that I have right now. All these things that you saw in there, the commands and stuff, if you figure out how to use them, you can place them here in an autoexec.cfg, and all it is a text file here in Windows XP SP3. I just type in some name, and my mouse is running away with me, .cfg, and I get a warning and I say yeah, and now it's there. And then some name, of course, not being a valid file, I was just demonstrating. And I could also open up, go to start, accessories, notepad, files, save as, all files, and then I could type in a name. This is not in the correct directory, I'm just demonstrating. And I could go here to all files, and now I could type in some name .cfg, and that won't give me a warning, and that'll work too. Just remember, type in the extension. And when you're done, you'll have this autoexec CFG file, and you can put your configurations. Right now I have invert mouse turned on to 1. That's my setup and my name at Dreambliss. It's Sandbox by default, and I don't know why that's down here. I had some custom controls in here for when I didn't have mouse and keyboard, but I wouldn't recommend trying to run Sandbox that way, because there's some editing options you're not able to access if you try to do that. Now here in if I can remember where it is, packages, base, this is where maps are stored by default. If you want to see them where you can load them in Sandbox, and I'll show you that shortly, you should have a folder in here. Now you can place your folder here in FPS if you want, or RPG, or right off the root, which is what I did. And then inside here you can have names of have folders or the names of your various maps if you wish, or just leave them all messed up like this. But if you're trying to make a map that is something you're going to share and put out on the web, I would advise that you go to File, New, Folder, you type in the name, and you put your files for that in there, and you save your files for that in there, and then when you share it, you zip it up from that area. That would be my advice. Although that doesn't really work if you're trying to zip from out here, because then you get everything. So I don't know what the best option there is, unless you make like a temporary folder somewhere, and then you type in this Dreambliss right off the root. That's what I used to do for Unreal. So I would go here to D, for example, or C, or anywhere else, and I'd put a Dreambliss here. It would just be temporary. I would take my files from my map, and in this case it would be that folder with your map files in it. I'd copy that into, in my case it'd be Dream Bliss, in your case it'd be your username or player name, and then I'd zip that up and have all the paths in there, so when it's extracted into the Sandbox directory it goes right into the proper place. You should probably add the packages as well, and then the maps. Yeah, the whole path would have to be done. So to demonstrate that, I would do something like this. I would do, and this is for me, you would use your own name. Your own username, your own gamer tag name, whatever you want to do. I gotta move my mouse every time I do this because it wants to slide away on me because of the way I have a board on my lap, so it's kind of hard to do this. So it'd be probably no, lowercase. And I did this wrong, actually. Excuse me. I'm half asleep, and it's probably about time for me to wrap up. Now what you would want to do, you know that it would be off of the Sandbox directory. You might have Sandbox here, but I would just tell them to extract it within the Sandbox directory. So then all you need is packages. Come on, double click already. And now if we were to verify that, brain is just not, I'm coming off of something, some kind of bug, so I'm not 100%. So packages, base, so we're in the right area, we know that. And then we would maybe have this one. So we'd copy that over here. But since I don't have the folders there, what I'd be copying over is the folder if I did it by map name, which is what I'd probably do. So this is ACPA test. So you wouldn't be doing any of this here. If you copied put all your maps into folders like this, then you would just take this as if this folder was over here. You would just take this folder and copy it over here. And now your maps are in here. And if there's any textures, you would do the same thing, except you would do packages, and I believe it's packages textures. And you'll see I have a folder there as well. No, models is what I meant to say. Well, it would be the same for textures. Textures would go under packages textures, and you'd have a name in here. And it would be the same thing. It would be your name, and then the name of the texture package. If it was a part of a series, that would be the next folder. And then the actual files for the textures inside of that, along with this package CFG, that would have all of this information, which I will try to go over at some point in the future, but that's a little advanced right now. So you'd probably have that. And then if you had, and that's for custom textures, of course, and if you had custom models, you would have them in a folder over here, and you'd have your username, and then the name of the model pack, or whatever, and then those would be copied over into packages models Dream Bliss. So when you're done, you'll probably have something like, come on, and in each of these would be your username folder. And inside your username folder would be the folders of the name of the texture pack, if you have it in pack, if it's textures, or model pack if you have it in a pack and it's models, or single model or single texture if that's how you do it. You would also have your whatever CFG files. For models, you end up with a OBJ CFG and then all of this, but you can also use, I believe you can use the name of the model, and so spiral stairs CFG should work. And inside there will be your options for your models, and then you would have your screenshot or any textures would be in here as well. And I don't remember, I think for screenshot it's just shot or something like that. Maybe they are using just the name of it. That's what it looks like. They're using just the name and they don't have any way to call. Okay, they're loading it that way. So you could do that if it's an MD3. If an OBJ is what you're using, like what I have, you might do it a bit differently. Skin is technically what the textures are normally called, but it could be any name as long as you have a CFG file with the proper commands inside of it. And I'll try to go over that in a more advanced tutorial later. Cannot remember which of these were OBJ files. Anyway, try to find what you're using. So if you're using OBJ, try to find an OBJ area, and from there you can determine what they use and you can do the same thing for yourself. Okay, here's an OBJ. Well, there's no screenshot. But you'll see the naming conventions and you'll see what they have for options in these, and it'll probably be a little bit different depending on what thing you're doing. Yeah, it's shot. I don't know if you can change that name or not. I think if you use the shot name, yeah, you don't have to call it. But if you do use a custom name, I'm assuming you'll have to call it with this. Let's see, that's box. Okay, so that's the actual skin. That's not a screenshot, apparently. So maybe it does screenshots automatically for MD3s, but it's shot for an OBJ, and if the picture's called shot, it'll automatically load. You don't have to add anything in. And then you'll have all of that in here for your screenshots and everything, and you would zip this all up, and then you could even put, if you wanted to, doing it this way, you could you could put an autoexec.cfg file here and then a readme and tell them to copy the commands from that into their autoexec.cfg. Not to copy the file, but the actual lines of code, and have them have a comment that demarcates it and comments detailing what the different lines are and what they do. And then they can copy and paste that into their own, have instructions on how they could make their own autoexec.cfg file themselves if they don't have one, and then they could copy it in that case if this is the only one they have, and where to put it, and then that would allow them to load any custom things you have as well. And when they extract this, if you zip this up, You wouldn't want to call it packages.zip. You'd want to give it your name. So, hold on a minute. And use zip, rar, or 7-zip, 7z. I would probably recommend 7-zip. I think it's the most cross-platform, and it's free, so it's the best of all of them. And now we have this fancy map.zip, and if we open it up, we can see we've got packages and everything else in there, and it screwed up on me, but all you'd have to do is take this thing and extract it right into the Sandbox directory, and then it would place those folders in there for them. And for the if you wanted the autoexec.cfg to be maybe where it wouldn't affect them, you could even have a folder, probably maybe have a map name folder inside it. So when they extract, because they can see that this is all the folders that Sandbox has, so if they extract it and there's some other folder name like the name of your map or whatever, or a readme folder or something of that nature, then they can go in there, and that's where your autoexec can be in your readme, and then they can go through and put those wherever they want and then delete them or use them or whatever. And you could leave such instructions in the notepad document. So that's how you can work with custom directories. If I was to go in here and try to load Sandbox, I'll show you how this works. Because I have my maps in the base directory, I can go here to load map, and I can go up here to all if it'll let me, and it'll take a second, but now you can see, I can't see yet. Okay, hold on. This is stupid. Okay, it's not showing my maps. Why? Yeah, there's my stuff. You can see it right there. So that's why I stick my stuff off of base, because that makes your maps right here real easy to load. And when you have the shot picture in there, I think it's 256 by 256 pixels what you want for size, then you'll have a screen for your map or your model or whatever, your texture pack. Okay, so that concludes this tutorial, and I will see you for the next one.